One of the things we love about Project Zomboid is that it allows you to create your own story. And in my story, I love to have a good bunch of zombies. In order to achieve this, Survivor mode and Apocalypse mode maybe aren't enough. If you're itching to find out how to set up and how to survive in the maximum population settings in Project Zomboid, this is the video for you. You first go to Sandbox mode and select all the population multipliers and set them to 4. Also, make sure you set peak date to 1, and if you want to clear up the whole town, set respawns to 0. Now, one of the major things that will impact your game is the spawn point. Some spawn points are just bad, and while there's merit to trying to make it work, sometimes it just doesn't. Don't feel discouraged and just try again. Now, regardless of where you spawn, the number one thing to do when you do spawn is to crouch. This will keep you out of the line of sight of zombies, just so you can loot whatever you can in the vicinity. With 16x population, even the most remote places on the map still have a bunch of zombies, probably more than you can take, unless you use some kind of cheese or you find some kind of weapon. Regardless, you should crouch, and the next important thing that you should do is grab all the food and all the water containers. Grab the food, fill the containers with water, because you're probably not going to get to loot a lot of these items very soon. On 16x population, you don't have time for anything, so don't even think about trying to find a base location just yet. No, we have other things to do, and if you don't know this yet, you can sprint through zombies. Just make sure you don't sprint through too many or you will trip, and that will be it. Alright, so if it wasn't yet clear that you cannot really fight in melee in 16x population, this should be more apparent now. As you can see, there are tens of zombies even in the most remote spawn location. What you need to do next is do a little bit of running and looting from trash cans, from car trunks, and basically anywhere else you can find anything that proves useful. One such useful thing that I always go for at the beginning of my runs is a Molotov cocktail. Trash cans have a high chance of having an empty glass ball inside that you can use to siphon gas out of some car, and with a rag you can create your Molotov cocktail. Of course, Molotov cocktails also require a lighter, so if you didn't have one already, you need to find either a gas station or a bar, which have a very high chance of spawning lighters or matches. I had the good fortune of finding this fruit and vegetable market. Fruits and vegetables are probably the best things you can loot at this point, in favor of canned foods or other types of food, as they are lighter and pack more calories than canned food, because canned food is quite heavy. Of course, at this point, don't hesitate to pause the game and check your map and see where you are and figure out where you want to go next. This is a very important step. Based on the population density and places that you can loot, you need to figure out where you need to go next. One popular location while doing this might be some kind of gun store or gun location where you can get weapons. Of course, if you prefer other types of weapons like melee, you can use those, but it's probably going to be much slower for you to advance. But it is a possibility for you to do this and just loot melee weapons, but you are going to have to employ fire. I know fire is not a very popular subject in Project Zomboid, player circles. Some claim it's just too unstable. Some claim it's just too easy. Well, you don't have to worry. On 16x population, nothing is easy. So if you've made your Molotov, you've gotten your lighter, or at least some matches and a place where you can find campfires, like this one. This is very handy that these campfires are here because they're very close to a gun location. So before you start to burn, the one thing you need to do is gather up all the zombies in the vicinity. You do this by walking around the area and continuously press the Q button to shout. This is very important to continuously shout because zombies tend to wander away or be distracted quite easily, especially if you're moving around a lot. Of course, once you do get a big pack of zombies behind you, that will also create an attraction to the rest of them. But the key here is to keep spamming that Q button just to make sure they're always aware of where you are so they follow you. Now, to pack up a zombie horde, you need to move either in zigzag type of movement or circles or semicircles. You need to basically edge the horde so the guys at the back have a chance to catch up to the guys at the front. And once you're ready, you can start your fire. You don't need to spread them out too much. You still want to do the zigzag motions and edging the horde. They will set themselves on fire quite easily once you have begun. Keep your movements tight. You don't want to have a long line of zombies, but instead a compact blob. So continue to edge the horde. The zigzag movement helps to move towards a direction, while the circle pattern will help you stick to one place where you want to burn the zombies. As you can see, the fire is quite tame, and although it does spread a little, it does not spread as bad as people think it does, even though I do have fire spread enabled in my game. You can see it's quite restricted to the area that I'm walking the horde around. One of the bigger drawbacks of doing burns is that they do take quite some time, especially on 16x, where zombies are going to keep on trickling in, replacing the ones that have already burned. So moving from other parts of the map chunk to here. This could be beneficial as you're clearing up the surrounding area, but just know it's going to take a while. However, when you're almost done, you may consider trying to loot the unburned corpses and trying to find some kind of backpack to hold all the loot that you're going to get up next, especially if you're taking guns and ammo, which are quite heavy. But this is it for day one, guys. I hope this was helpful and interesting, and see you for day 2.